behalf of the National Glass Association, good afternoon. I'm Sarah Neiswanger, the Associate Director of Industry Engagement, and thank you for joining us for today's Thirsty Thursday webinar featuring Jeff Phillips. Before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping. Do take a note or take a look at some of the key events on NGA's calendar coming up next year. And also, when it comes to questions or comments, please use the chat or Q&A features in the Zoom toolbar, and Jeff will address those at the end of the presentation. All right, our first event of 2025 is the NGA Glass Conference taking place in Carlsbad, California, just north of San Diego. Registration will open in about a month's time. So for now, that QR code will point you to the event webpage, and please just save the date and be on the lookout for more updates coming soon. On the next slide, we'll also move on to the BEC conference. Now in its 27th year, it will return to Las Vegas, March 2nd to the 4th. Sponsorships are already available, and more activities, including tabletop displays, Take 5 presentations, and registration will be opening over the course of the next month to month and a half. So keep an eye on your inbox as new opportunities come about. And again, the QR code here points you to the BEC conference event webpage. So keep that handy and mark your calendar again. And now, Jeff, I'm pleased to introduce you. Jeff's career spans more than 30 years of extensive experience and success built on strategic planning, business leadership, sales and distribution leadership, and business development, primarily in the office furniture industry. Jeff has also recently published a 3-part series related to Division 10 projects. It's currently found on Glass Magazine online and will be available in print soon. So I will put a link to those online articles in the chat here momentarily, as Jeff may reference them throughout his talk. And Jeff, I'll let you take it over from here.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. This is a fun subject for me. I've been doing the wall business, most of my business career tied within the furniture side and then exclusively on the wall side for the last 14 years. The articles that Sarah mentioned, just so you know, the 3 stages really talks about and breaking down the business itself from unitized and stick-built, 2 different separate entities as far as within the Division 10 demountable wall business. Started to talk about some of the tax advantages on 10 versus glass and glazing Division 8. It also started to get into and have you think about what are the motives why you've had great relationships with the people you have in your markets, to really talk about really what are their motives and why they want to work with you. And that will be important as we talk about today on some of the things on how we approach the market to take back business that is migrated from 8 to 10 over the last almost 20 years. And it's been pretty substantial, which you'll see in a minute. I also want you to think about, and it talks about in the articles, about a little bit on your value proposition. Why you? Why your organization? Why would a client, a customer, a general contractor, an end user, an architect want to work with your firm? And so you need to think about why you bring value to them. And I want you to think about it from their perspective, not yours. All right. And then last couple articles talked about the different players out there. And we'll reference that in this presentation, the furniture manufacturers, the demountable wall companies that exclusively do demountable walls. There's high-end specialty groups that come out of both Europe, UK, and also Asia that are coming into the United States. And then there's also component companies out there that right now put together their components and go after Division 10. Key factors that we're going to talk about today is that how do you, one, select an organization, and also what kind of selling activities you're going to have to potentially look at doing to compete in 10, because Division 10 is sold differently than Division 8. And just to give you an idea of the market size and growth over the last 20 years has gone from a pretty small number all the way to $1.8 billion, and it continues to grow. All right, that's the market size for Division 10 demountable walls across basically North America. All right, most of that business in North America is coming from the United States, not a huge number from Canada. Canada, just so you know, that would be probably Ontario and also basically Vancouver are the two biggest areas for volume in Canada. But United States remains the largest demountable wall area for North America. On the right-hand side, which is interesting, is that post-COVID, post that time, AIA, which is basically the architect's billing cycle, 55% plus is working on and billing for renovation refurbishment work. Okay, so that's not new building construction. Unfortunately, with the cost of money and coming out of COVID with all the material shortages, guess what? Renovation refurbishment is really the strongest area. In the articles I talked about, remember unitized and stick built, a majority of the renovation refurbishment work is in stick built. Okay, in other words, those components are sent to the site and assembled on site. Okay, so just to give an idea, actually that plays incredibly well into the Glazers as far as the market. All right, just so you know. So when you're looking at business, understand it's large in scope across the United States. And the key thing is that what's the impact in your market? Now, when I do this, when I look at the market itself, I always start in the center, the customer. The customer has the issues, the customer has the money. And what they're going to do is they're going to make a change in their physical real estate when they have pain, either positive or negative pain. Positive pain is growth and expansion. Negative pain is where they need to reduce their footprint, okay, because of market factors. It could be because of the new environment, the new type of work that's really reducing the amount of real estate that's necessary for them to do their work. It could be that they're looking to rebrand themselves. They're looking at recruitment, retention. They're looking at, I need to improve my acoustics because I'm bringing my people in for meetings, for collaboration, and I'm looking at different settings. That forces a client to say, okay, I have to look at between present state and desired state, making the change. Now, they could be talking then outside that next ring to brokers. They could be talking to real estate people, and definitely they're going to talk to an A&D firm, an architectural firm, to help them with their plans to go to their future state, to help them be more competitive for bringing in the right people, whether it be how they are going to conduct their business in that virtual work environment today. Guess what? That means it's less furniture, more glass. Just so you know, one furniture company told me that before COVID, 60% of their volume in furniture was in desking. Now it's down to 30%. They're looking at that walls, demountable walls will have to make up that difference. And guess what? Demountable walls is growing. And so that's what they're focused on. Okay. And others are following suit. In that ring with the A&D community and also the broker are dealers. I would actually look at those as distributors. Those are people or selling people trying to work with the client and also looking at the influence of what the A&D firm's working on, what brokers are saying, so they can get as much insight as possible what activity is going on in their market. Once an A&D firm actually makes a decision and says, okay, they put together their master specs for that project, it would go to a general contractor. General contractor looks at it, and then it could go to a glazier or it'll go out to bid. Okay, if you look at this in the more traditional sense, maybe like a Division 8 application, the glazier is responding to their client, the general contractor. Okay, now some also, of course, deal directly with customers, but at the end of the day, a lot of times they're receiving requests to bid on a project from the general contractor. When you look at the sales cycle, I basically laid out the A&D process. Okay, if you look at the very top of the chart, it goes from planning, schematics, all the way through to construction. Then I try to show where the key stakeholders, the different players that are in the sales process when they engage. The end user, of course, is in the planning stage because they have pain, all right? And they're trying to actually pay less to solve that pain by engaging an architect, engineers, that type of thing. And they're also talking to potentially distributors, different sales groups, as far as how do they solve for those problems. People want to, as far as the sales mentality, salespeople want to be as early as possible so they can influence the project. And the first people in usually can help also define those terms. Okay, so there's a great advantage on getting in early, because if you're the first one in, you can make the biggest impression and hopefully learn firsthand from the end user and the architect what's needed, and then start to lay the foundation. Okay, so if you're early on, you can get it what we all call basis of design. And also you can, if there's multiple people, they try to maybe get alternates also listed on particular solutions the design is calling for. In the middle stage, unless it's a design build, the general contractor will get, or general contractors will get engaged, because they're now asked to, one, give a proposal. Maybe there's 3 that are going to bid it. One's going to be selected. By the way, if you're asked to do budgetary numbers for one contractor, you need to find out who the other general contractors are that might be bidding for that work. Because if you don't, if you only get to bid 1 and there were 3, you just reduce your odds of success, because it never fails. You give a great number, you're really in there, the general contractor loves you, but they didn't win the work. Now you're out. This way, you want to make sure you know everybody, so you get an opportunity to play on all fields to increase your odds of success. General contractor gets awarded, they go over to the bid stage, then all the players, different distributors, could be dealers, could be direct manufacturers, could be independent reps, and also Glaziers that are working to get quoted. Okay? Key thing is, if you're at the end of the cycle, at the bid cycle, someone else has influenced the specification on the front side. So the more stakeholders we know, and we're asking the questions, and if we're at the bid stage, which happens to everybody, you want to work upstream. Ask the general contractor, what are the key factors that are going to elude success? I go even further upstream, and I try to work with the architectural firm. And if I'm lucky, I can also talk to the end user. Why? Because I want to talk to everybody to get a full picture on what's going on. Okay, so if you're at the bid stage, that's fine. You just got to make sure you're touching base with everybody, because I like to think of it, a lot of people can say no, one person can say yes. The economic decision maker, the people with the money, say yes, or the people that have been given authority to say yes. Everyone else are influencers that can keep you in the game, let you know the internal politics, what's going on with the project. Okay, so this is really the sales process linked to the design process. Now, I like the way I phrase this is, you get to choose the manufacturer you want to work with. It's your choice. Who's going to help you the most? Who's going to meet the requirements? And I gave you some requirements on here because I want you to make sure when you're talking to a manufacturer that might be able to supply you a demountable wall solution, what do they have? First, you got to make sure they have master specs. Okay, written out in Division 10, demountable walls. Formal CIS master specs. You've all seen them. You just make sure they have it. Okay. And when they have it, you want to make sure they have it written up for both single glazed and double glazed. Double glazed being a lighted glass, air cavity, lighted glass. Okay. And the reason that's important is because the solutions today in demountable walls, you need both of those in your portfolio, or you can be eliminated from the get-go. The second thing is STC. If the organization that I'm presenting for today, NGA, would like me, I can give an STC presentation on the ins and outs of demountable walls around STC. We all know it's blocking sound, okay? There's a number of different manufacturers out there quoting numbers for STC, all right? I'll give you general rules when you're looking at it. You want someone that at least has a 32 to a 34 STC for half-inch glass in the system, because half-inch glass is the most, half-inch clear tempered is the most popular glass for demountable walls, for single glaze. It allows you to go to 10 feet high. Okay. Number 2, double glazed. You need someone that's going to be in the mid 40s, 43 to 46, somewhere in there. That's again with clear tempered product, meaning like a 3/8 glass and a half-inch glass. All right. You want to have different thicknesses of glass because that'll get you a better STC number. All right. Actually, 3/8 and half-inch will get you a better STC rating or number than both half-inch tempered glass. Now, there are a lot of people out there that throw out really big numbers. You need to get their test reports requested if you're reviewing somebody. The reason is you need to know, are they just reporting the glass? Or are they reporting it in their system? Are they reporting only laminated glass? You need to know what it is, because at the end of the day, when you present that to an architect, you need to make sure you're reporting what you're also quoting on, okay? That third bullet is critical, by the way. Reason Division 10, the monowall stick built, is so popular right now over unitized in a lot of cases is because less metal, more glass. Aesthetically, it looks nicer. There's a simple rule in sales: emotion first, logic second. Do I like how it looks? Does it fit architects? Does it fit the brand for my client? Does it look really clean around the door frame, the side lights? Does it look really good? Okay, great. Then they start looking at the key factors that they want. What's my acoustics? All those fun other things that we'll talk about. Aesthetics is important. Okay, so if it doesn't look good, if you have a lot of metal, a really high base, meaning over 2 inches, 3 inches, 4, that's going to be more metal than a lot of people will want to have. Okay, and that's one reason why the European products the high-end specialty products are so recognized by the major architectural firms, because they like the aesthetic look. Thing you have to look at from your team as far as labor is it easy to install? Okay, it's important you know if it's easy to install. You can look at how many extrusions, are there notching, do I have to do miters? What does it entail to actually put it up for a finished product? You have to look at that from a time standpoint, because that'll really come down to when you're budgeting and quoting, do I have a realistic time? The manufacturer should be able to help you with that. Volume discounts. Don't do list price, right? List price doesn't help you. Who cares? It's what you pay for it. The way to break that down in an easy way for yourself is, if you're talking to a manufacturer, ask them to give you a 10 by 10 office front, swing and sliding door. Simple, just do a simple ladder pull, doesn't matter. And what you do is then you can look at that and see what it costs to outfit that product with the glass, you could do an aluminum door, an all glass door, I don't care, and then the aluminum. So you can look at all that combined together for that 10 by 10 space, and you can calculate what you're going to do. Key thing with volume and dollars, what's really important for all of you to recognize is that you need to speak in the vocabulary of Division 10. They do not do square foot costs. They do linear foot costs. Okay? Yeah, it's screwy, but that's what they do. So linear foot cost, what does it cost me? And then you add your labor on, so that'd be your material and labor, and then you figure out what your markup is. The key thing is you have to realize that those component parts are critical in your package to be competitive. Okay? Warranty. Division 8 might be warranty of 1 to 2 years in a lot of cases. Division 10, they talk minimally 5 years for the hardware and 10 years for the overall system. Okay? A lot of people just go 10 years because they know if something's going to go wrong around the hardware, it'll be in the first year. And that's such a low percentage, so there's really virtually no risk. So they usually go like 10 years for their warranty. And nothing's going to happen with their finish, and nothing's going to happen in glass. The glass is not going to explode. If it does, it's an incredible anomaly. You have to talk to who you want to work with. You want to do stick build or unitized? Understanding that unitized are usually more on the furniture world side, and a couple others that go direct to the marketplace. Stick build is probably going to give you your greatest option and also link up with what you already do today. Sales support. What other tools do they have as a manufacturer? What do they provide you that's going to help you create that sizzle, that value proposition in front of the client as far as your process, your people, the tools you have, and also the product? Okay. So that's what you're looking, those are things you start to look at when you're talking to the manufacturer. Here's just a couple of the competitors out there. You've probably seen these names on bids before. Steelcase, I know them very well. I worked for them long time in the past. All Steel, Hayworth, Technion, KI are all furniture manufacturers. Trendway, they're now owned by a new company called Fellows. They're not new, but they were purchased. Inscape closed down their furniture side, but are still doing their walls. Then I put a couple of Italians in there, and actually Mars is from the Netherlands. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people are started out doing unitized. A lot of them are going now to stick built. All right, they're introducing them. They're finding challenges with stick built. The key reason, and something you should understand, our furniture dealers traditionally, all their furniture is installed by carpenters, which when you're doing unitized, it's easier because it's kind of like furniture on steroids, where it can go all the way to the ceiling, there are brackets to attach, there are glides at the bottom for adjusting for height or variance on floor. Stick built takes a different skill level. All right. And so they're learning that, and their distribution is learning that that's really challenging. And I can tell you right now, a number of them have struggled with not having Glazers on their teams. Okay. So when you're looking at what you're going to do as a business, I want you to start thinking it internally. In my market, I need to commit to a quota, more to myself than to any manufacturer. Okay. How much business do I want to drive for demountable walls? And you probably have a feel for it. And if you don't, I can probably help you within markets to look at what I've assessed and what I've done for market calculations based on volume. I have some of those things readily available. Proactive sales force focused on demountable walls. It's about time and applying your knowledge in the market. Okay. And if I want some of that business, I'm going to have to focus and concentrate on that business. All right. And it means I might have to concentrate a little bit differently. Strong relationships. You all on this call have strong relationships in your market. You've earned it. Your general contractors come to you. Why? Because you're dependable. You get the job done. You work on a job, you get it, you close it, and you know what? Everyone's happy. Okay. And when there is a challenge, you step in and you fix it. They're your lifeblood. Architectural firms call you on the challenging things, not the easy things. They call you on the tough stuff they can't figure out, and you help them. All right. But architectural firms are out there. And some of us on this call work directly with end users, because after a job, they start calling you for additional things, one-off things that they need to get done. And you do that because you're looking at the long haul. Or you have service contracts, which are very lucrative. They can be very lucrative, especially on 724 operations. Okay. Salespeople activity. Okay. There's associations or groups in every single market. You know that. Okay. Like A&D firms, AIA, it's a big one. Okay. They do have local chapters. They have local business, and there's a lot of networking that goes on there. You need to go to those. Why? Because you make contacts. Okay. Within those contacts, it can help you later on for some of your marketing activities and other stuff that you're doing. Real estate. Real estate always is looking for great groups that they can partner with. Developers, with your talent and your skill and what you guys do from an internal standpoint in a building, phenomenal. You're a great resource, but you have to network with them. Facilities management events. If you aren't linked up or haven't done something with IFMA, the International Facilities Management Association, you're missing out, because those facilities people and / real estate people know what's going on in their businesses. You need to network with them, because they can give you heads up when something's coming. Okay. Remember we talked about the early planning stage for a client? Facilities, real estate people are at the C-level meetings. They're talked to because real estate is critical to the performance. Remember, it's people, process, tools, and physical space. The physical space means that the facilities management groups are at the table with leadership, especially with all the changes going on with the whole new type of work and people coming in 3 days a week, not the other 2 days. They're reducing down their footprint, but it changes the way that footprint has to work and look. That's why glass right now is so strong, because in that new environment, glass office fronts, glass settings are critical, and they're being used everywhere because of all the natural properties we all know about glass. You also have something really strong, which I know you know this, but you deliver, you perform. You have a labor force. You have talented, skilled people on handling a job. Okay. I will tell you, the front side is where I grew up. All right. On the sales and marketing side, I can tell you, if you do not execute the job well, you don't make any money. We all know that. If you have to go back 2 and 3 and 4 times on a job, you become upside down. You're a nonprofit. So your execution, your performance, and your talented people are really critical, okay? Winning the job is when the job truly begins, meaning you got to execute it properly, because then you got to satisfy the general contractor, the architect, the developer, the real estate people that they all made the right decision. That's you. You have that. You have certified installers. You have, some of you have, you know, journeymen. No furniture dealer has a journeyman. No, they don't have someone with 6,000 hours of training, highly skilled. The problem is an easy job would be a raised floor and all the walls are plumb. But I've never worked in a building that had plumb, the walls were okay, or the floor was level. I was never that lucky. So you need to have skill. And above the ceiling grid, that's a challenge. Your people are built for that. Others aren't. Project management, you understand glass. That is your business. So you need to leverage that. You need to expose people to that. I look at it as this way, is that, by the way, a furniture dealer, a furniture is in their name. So buy furniture from them. If you want to work with a glass and glazing expert, work with someone that's their core business. Why would you want to go have heart surgery with someone that this is their first time and they're looking at the manual? No, I want someone that's done 1,000 times and they've all been successful. That's who I want to cut me open. Okay. You also self-perform. Shop drawings are critical in Division 10, as you can well imagine, because you have to get sign-offs from the architect. That's when the project, when you're ordering, really begins, is when they sign off on everything. The dimensions are right and everything else. By the way, it's really important you know how to measure rough space too. On the marketing side, a couple things I want you to think about. One, your website. When they go to your website, you need to show that you're in the demountable wall business. Okay? You have examples. You have things you've shown. I really like it when you see in the website current projects that were early, middle, and finished products. So they get an idea of your team working to make it look perfect. Social media. Why do you go to all those events? Because you're developing your network. You're developing those people that when you do an event, they see the projects you've done. It's about mind share. It's about alignment to those key people, which will drive market share. Okay? Mind share. You want to be in the front of their mind. You're the ones they want to work with. Alignment, that you're the resource to get it done because this is your skill area. And then you gain market share. Cut sheets, you need PDFs. By the way, architects don't always like it when you bring in a brochure because you killed a tree. Okay, so PDFs are great. They like electronic. They can then cut and paste out of it. They're cool. Finished samples. Sometimes having a small mock-up of that particular product helps them because some people are tactile. They got to touch it, feel it, play with it. You just got to know you have it. Okay. Finished samples, they need to know the colors and know it match. And also, do the people have custom capabilities? All right, that's important because no telling the first project you're going to do, they're going to want XYZ finish. All right, just make sure you can do that and you can provide the samples, they sign off on it. Installation photographs, I like to call it a lookbook. What I mean by that is you're putting all these different elements you do on display so they get to see it. It is a cool way for them as a thought starter. All right. They love that. Then quoting tools. You need to make sure your manufacturer and you are aligned on quotes so you can do them quick. They're complete and you can get it to the people so they understand that you're responsive, that you're on top of it. And if you have questions on something, I know you won't believe this. You'll probably be stunned. Some architects don't understand GANA. Okay. And they don't understand that you can't do 1/2-inch glass in a stick build application with side light, light to light, not any kind of framing, and end up 12 feet. All right. That's a no-no. All right. There's certain requirements and certain ideas in education that has to take place. I could tell you the architectural firms that usually do it. Now, if you haven't seen this or haven't read the article, there's a thing called the PIMS model. All right. What's important about the PIMS model is it probably reinforces what you already know. Okay, but I'm going to share it with you. If you have existing accounts, existing relationships, let's say with a general contractor or contractors that you've worked with for years and you've done great work and you're their go-to person or one of them for XYZ type of business, you have a 95% chance because of the way you work and how you perform to continue that flow of business. Now, the exciting thing about that is your existing relationships, if you introduce a new product to them, because of your relationship and how you fostered it, you got a 50% chance of getting used for that project, or at least quoted for that project, an opportunity, a swing at the plate. Okay, that's cool. That's your greatest growth. All right, or your fastest growth. That could be a VE situation, or that could be an alternate type of thing that you could work your way in with the proper tools. Okay. Now, when you get to new clients, new people you haven't worked with before, but you have that reputation in the market, and maybe they go to do a Google search and they find out that, yeah, you're a demandable wall group, I haven't worked with you, but I've heard your name. I'm not, I'm going to give you a call. They got a 25% chance because of basically that new relationship and existing product that you've already sold. You might be known for something in the market, but you've never worked with them. Okay. Challenging part when it comes down to is it's a new relationship and a new product. That's what they call new business development. It's the hardest quadrant. But if you look across, horizontally across that 95%, new business development means you're going to take someone else's account. Okay, let's just be honest. The way you do that, though, and what's really critical is, I'll give you one thing to think about. And you ask maybe one of your general contractors, say, and the people you've worked with at demandable walls, who fell down in the last 6 months? Who stumbled? Who really mucked up? You really want to, if they've made mistakes, what you want to do is look at your next series of quotes, and you look for that name on your next quote. Guess what? Your 5% just went up. Okay. You could get a look because the other person messed up so badly. So when you look at your building, your proactive sales competencies, you know that architects and designers influence a project. Okay. You need to get to know them. You get to know what's important to them. And it's usually specific to a project, but you'll find a trend. Same thing for developers. By the way, an architect wants to make sure their reputation is intact. So if they suggest you got to perform. Okay. Developers, you know what they want. You've worked with them before. Has to do when you get in, you're on time, you don't make them look bad, and you really help their client, hopefully even get them in earlier, or like real estate people too, so they can start billing earlier. Customers, they need to know you're reliable. All right. And by the way, customers, and this has happened to me many times, I get my first project with a client, end user, and I get the next 6 projects with them across the country. It's a fabulous thing. We all like more money. Okay. So you need to understand how that customer works, where they're set up, how they make decisions. You need to be curious, ask questions. My favorite salesperson will date me, and I apologize for this. You can look at it on reruns. It's Columbo. All right. Why? Because he always asks one more question. Be curious. Ask questions. So what are you looking for? Besides this, if they're stuck on money, okay, let's say we're going to give you a great price. Besides that, what else should I look for? What else is important? Because money is always an evaluator on what you're getting. Okay. It's not only price. If it was only price, we'd buy all of our product, all of our clothing at secondhand stores because it's the cheapest place to go. Okay. So think of it that way. Is it what's valuable, important to them? General contractors, we know about that. Give me a good price. Come in, do a great job. Don't damage the building. Come in, do your work, and get out. Don't complain about the other groups that are on site that are doing this or that or damaging this. Just get your job done and get off. All right. And get them early so the general contractor can win. Just so you know, the general contractor is upset with companies that go around them. In other words, if they have a direct deal with a customer and they're cut out on a project, no furniture goes through the general contractor. It goes straight to the client. Some furniture people, just so you know, will go and try to bundle the demandable walls along with their furniture. Okay. Because the and the way they logically flow it is the tax depreciation for furniture is 7 years because it's considered personal property. Guess what? Demandable walls is also considered personal property by the IRS because it can be relocated. Does anyone ever do it? No, it doesn't matter. The IRS has declared it. We can't, if you want to fight the IRS, go for it. If not, what I would do is just say you have it, you can do it in 7 years versus Division 8, which is done in 39 years or the life of the building. Okay. 7 years also works very nicely with a lot of leases. Okay. But the general contractor isn't always happy when someone goes around them because they don't make any money on that particular product, but they still have to super the job. They still have to oversee the job, and that costs them money. Okay. Just something to understand. So along with this, which is important for everybody, is when you're building proactive sales competency, you need a repeatable process. Okay. What's challenging is that a lot of people will start this process and make a couple of sales calls, but it's not repeatable. It's not consistent. And because you don't get something the first time and you go, gosh, that didn't work. Well, it's going to take more than that, everybody. Okay. It could take 2 or 3 calls. And all you do is put it in your calendar that I'm going to, make contact with these people. I'm going to do this. Each of those groups are different: general contractors, A&D, developers, but you're going to have to start networking. You need to make sure you understand the vocabulary, okay, of the Division 10 arena. I happen to have vocabulary that I can provide if you guys want. But at the end of the day is you need to start talking like a Division 10 group versus a Division 8. They don't deal in square feet. They deal in linear feet. I know that's screwy, but that's the way they do it. So when they look at an office front, they'll go, okay, that office front is 10 linear feet, 3 feet for the door and the rest of side lights. Okay. And the key thing when they're doing that, 10 feet is easy for the customer. They don't go 100 square feet. They don't have to multiply. They don't do any of that. Okay. We all know that it's 10 feet high, 10 feet wide, fine, or 9 feet high, 10 feet wide. Yes, I got it. But that's how you engage. Okay. So what I'll do is when you look at that and you look at your sales forecast, what I want you to think about when you do sales forecast, this is important. Your sales forecast or your process is that when you're engaging with people and you ask the general contractor a simple question: when's this job going to actually handle? You need to do it anyway for your labor force. But if you know that and you can do it, you win. Okay. And if you do that in the proper way, that gives you your priority on your sales forecast and when you think it's going to hit, what you need to do. Okay. So 30, 60, 90 are what projects are out there. What do I need to do? Who do I need to encounter? And you're always working the project. Projects change. If you do a quote, you're going to have to follow up, and you need to follow up with all the key stakeholders. Okay. It's just good because you'll get different perspectives in the conversation. Okay. You need to lead. Prove yourself. In other words, you go forward, you lead. And what you're doing on that, when you do that, is if you're proactively doing this in the market, you'll drive revenue. And what's interesting is you're going to find you're always looking for what is called, I call a coach, someone that's trying to help you be successful. Personally, I need multiple coaches. I'd like to get a coach from the architectural firm, the end user, the general contractor, and a developer or a real estate person. Many coaches to get a perspective, a holistic view of what's going on with this project so I can win. I want an unfair advantage. Okay. I'm okay with that. I would love to get second look. The biggest area, the thing you got to look at when you're doing your business initially will be value engineered projects. And there are a lot of them. And the second thing you got to look at is, can I be an alternate? You got to ask. If you ask, a lot of times they'll go, well, send over your material. I'll take a look at it. If you read what they're asking for, you can probably do it. Okay. So the cool thing is a lot of those projects I'm talking about are between 10 and 50 office fronts. So it could be as small as, $50,000, $80,000 all the way up to, we've done renovation projects that end up being $1 million, $1.5 million. That's a renovation project. So just so you know, these are very lucrative. All right. And by the way, systems, demountable walls, the systems sell per linear foot at a higher number than Division 8 component products do. Okay. At some point, if you want me to tell you how to neutralize Division 8, I can tell you how to do that. That's not complicated. At the same time, you take a look at that, and if you have a Division 10 solution, you have a strategic advantage over a lot of those other people. You just haven't leveraged it. Okay? So I'm going to take a pause for a second. I'm going to look at the questions and see if I can answer a few. All right. So links have been sent. Understand the question. Do you have any statistics on demountable walls installed by Glazier contractors versus specialty contractors such as Steelcase? Okay. I don't have the stats on that. I have worked with a number of Glaziers that did demountable walls with me, and we won some major projects with it, big projects, over multiple $1 million deals. And you know what? They went incredibly well because they understand they understood project management. They were all over it. And we ended up getting one client, we ended up getting 5 more projects where the first project, we were competitive. We were an alternate, we won. And then the rest of the projects, we became basis of design with no alternates. So it was a beautiful thing. And so the Glazier got all that business. Okay. So I'll tell you, when you look at the demountable wall business, there's about, give or take, about 40 different groups. Okay, everybody, about 40. When you look at those 40, what you're going to run into is, the 80-20 rule, 80% of the volume coming from 20% of that group. All right. The biggest organization out there in demountable walls would be still today, DIRT. All right. Which stands for Do It Right This Time. Okay. DIRT, though, is reduced in size for a couple different reasons. They do unitized. Okay. That's their big area. And they really focus, their biggest area from a vertical market or a business segment is healthcare. They can do the headboard in what is called off carpet, which is the patient rooms. So they can do all the gauges and everything else on the walls, which is pretty cool. Okay. So that's where they're really big. Falk Built is also on the aggressive side now on that too. Steelcase and all those guys, they do a lot because of their national and regional agreements. The one that's moving the quickest, and that one sheet I showed you, would be Technion. Okay. But they go through their own dealer network. Okay. I would tell you, not a lot of Glaziers have gone after the demountable wall business because of potentially getting the right partner. And also it's a different, it's not the sales process isn't something they want to embrace. Okay. The Glaziers I worked with in my past that had a sales action type were incredibly successful in Division 10 to the point of being scary. Like when they get in, if they get an opportunity to talk to the architect, they got an opportunity to really talk to the general contractor and everybody else. It became oh yeah, we want to work with you. Okay. But it has to do with the training and everything else. What you need to look at is working with a manufacturer that's going to help you with their vocabulary, their portfolio, their tools, and with your expertise in the local market and working together in the sales process, that'll drive the greatest success. Okay, I got a couple more questions. Hold on, let me look. I'm gonna look at them. Okay. How do you compete with national buying agreements, contracts to an end user customer where there are multiple locations across the country? Good question. Okay. Yes, there are national agreements. There are national programs. What we did in the one case, when I talked about that one large account, it started in one market and it went across the country. Excuse me. The Glazier we were working with did not have the resources to do those other jobs in those other markets. So what they did is they partnered with another Glazier in the other market to take care of the business. Just so you know, when you look at national buying agreements, a lot of times those work, they're set up kind of similar to what the furniture dealer does. If a furniture manufacturer does it, it's really how the customer buys, meaning there's either a centralized or decentralized agreement. Centralized agreement means there's one purchasing location for that client and they work with one dealer. Most of the time, they're set up as decentralized agreements. So there'll be multiple dealers on the contract based on geographical area because that organization wants the local service to do it. Now, if I were setting it up, I could do that within an account. I can go in because I used to do national accounts for one of those companies you mentioned earlier. I worked for Steelcase, so I did national accounts on the East Coast for them. So I can tell you, I can help set up that agreement across the country. And you know what? When we did it for that one account that I spoke of earlier. We handled 6 locations, and we had Glaziers that worked together. They understood that they couldn't win it alone. They needed the other one. We worked out a fair way so everyone got compensated. Everyone made money. Everybody was happy. Okay, so that's what we did. Can you do that again? Yes. All you have to do is a spirit of cooperation. Okay. Now, I can unmute if you want, or we can unmute also, and I can handle more aggressive questions. So you can put me on the spot more. Let me look at the last one. Okay, here in Connecticut, we have what's known as a flat glass license. Okay, that requires for the install. Okay, the Glazier contract is required to have an FG1. Do you know if any other states have required a license? No, I do not know of that. Nope. I do know though, when you go into a union building, you better make sure that you're not installing glass with a carpenter. And a number of jobs I know of by some of the furniture people got shut down because the furniture dealer didn't have glaziers on their staff. So they had to quickly maneuver because they got themselves in trouble. Okay. So,
Jeff, one more comment
yeah.
too. There are 3 additional questions in the Q&A feature outside the chat.
Oh, I missed that. Thank you. Okay. What about end users who want to leverage GPO or basically a state contract? You need to ask the manufacturer. A lot of the manufacturers are already on state contracts or they might be on GSA. Okay. And if they are, you just need to make sure that you're a part of it. Okay, so you just have to ask that question. Now, a lot of GSA or a lot of organizations in the government and the state level do not have to follow their contracts. Every state's different. But when I used to live in beautiful Washington, D.C., and one of my jobs was working with GSA. And I can tell you a lot of the groups that I worked with went off contract, and it allowed them more flexibility to do what they wanted to do. Okay. Let me look at Q&A. Uh-oh, here we go. He seems like spec rules. Okay, looks like spec rules all in my market. Unfortunately, there are major Glazier players in my small markets that the main 3 specified manufacturers have partnered with and have us thrown out as, okay, wow, go through them as a distributor. I don't like that. We have multiple projects with Division 10 scope. Was awarded to the distributor directly. Yep. The only way I can see us having success is finding an approved equal to undercut the spec brands. I can help with that. Every manufacturer has weaknesses, just so you know. And you're right. If a distributor, a dealer has a product that's like Technion or whatever, can you break that? Sure you can. You just got to look at it. A lot of times you have to look at bundling. Okay. Everyone's got to look at the furniture people were taught to bundle. All right. I know because I used to train furniture people to bundle on the furniture side. So if you're getting XYZ, add this in to make it easier. We used to call it one throat to choke. Okay. Turnkey. You do the glass. If you're doing other glass, you need to go for all the glass and bundle it and get the 10 with it. What you do is if you look at the different manufacturers that are out there, if you want to later, Mr. or Ms. Anonymous, send me the email. You have my email on this page and tell me who the manufacturer is. And I can tell you some of the ways to become an alternate. Okay. A lot of the furniture people are very expensive per linear foot. that could be your in. A lot of people, a lot of those projects are getting pressed hard for their pricing. They're out of control. So we can help with that. Okay. And there are a number of people that are selling stick systems to glaziers. And yes, there are a number of them that we can do. What can you tell about companies like Rayco? Okay. Rayco is a fine company. They do mostly Division 8. I mean, I have no negatives against Rayco, but I'll tell you right now, you have to make sure, again, you have to win the beauty contest. Okay. Aesthetically, if you don't win the beauty contest, you're not allowed to play. No one goes out and says, you know what, I'm going to go buy an ugly car today. The ugliest car in the market is this. That's what I'm going to go buy. No, you go look at some, you go, God, I'd love to look at that. Then all of a sudden, then you start asking the other questions. Does it have this, 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 and this? And then you ask the scary question, what does it cost? Key thing is, and you have to answer this question for you in your market, does that product win the beauty contest? That's what you have to figure out. Okay. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, then you got to look at it and take a step back and say, okay, what product's going to help me win the beauty contest or be an equal on the beauty contest? Make sense? Any other questions? Well, okay. Well, I just want to say thank you. And if there's something you want to know on a one-on-one basis, all you have to do is you see my telephone number or you see my email, just send me an email. I'll be glad to answer your question. Okay. I was brought into the Glazier world by a wonderful individual, little bit ornery, but I really like him. His name is Don Fries, and he really helped me embrace the Glazier community. He really did. He's a character. You might like him, you might love him, you might not like him, but I tell you, he let me really feel good about working with the glazing community. So if I can help in some way, I'd be glad to do it. I think one more question popped up. I'll just make sure I don't miss something. Okay, where do you see LEED and sustainability within this? Every manufacturer, a reputable one, just so you know, for LEED, will have information on it. Okay, LEED is important, especially to the architectural community. It's one of the boxes they have to check. So you got to look at, could be your aluminum. Where do they source their aluminum? How much is recyclable? You're going to win a number of points because of daylighting on glass. You're going to win on the aluminum can be recycled. There's a number of things you will get on points doing LEED. You just have to make sure the manufacturer's done that. Okay, that's a great question. And LEED is important, especially to the A&D community. You're probably going to be asked, and you're probably going to have to come forth with information.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And I do want to take a moment to elaborate on that topic. NGA actually has an installing committee comprised of NGA members that work on a variety of issues. And this is one of our newest issues, Division 10. So if you're an NGA member or not and want to participate in shaping conversations and resources that will help you in the future, let us know. Feel free to email me as a starting point, and I will get you in touch with the people that can help you get involved pursuing this topic further within the industry and NGA specifically. On the next slide, Jeff, also we have the next two Thirsty Thursdays listed in November 21st and December 12th. So I hope we'll see you again. And a reminder, this webinar has been recorded, and by midday tomorrow, will be available for replay at glass.org/webinars. Jeff, we really appreciate your time both today and in all of your editorial work with Glass Magazine leading up to this.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. And again, everybody, best of success. Okay. You all take care.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You too.